Hi everyone, today we're going to have a look at this LCD liquid AIO coming from ID Cooling, known as the SL360 Space. I've been wanting to do this content since last year, right after ASUS Ryujin 3 has released. And this was released before the Galahad 2 LCD and the Deepcool Mystic. I've tried writing to them 3 times, but there was no response. And thankfully, I'd like to thank Tech Dynamic to happen that they have a loan unit and to provide me to share with you guys. I'm still curious about how the thermal is and the accessories and such, so I'll be sharing with you in this content. This liquid cooler comes in 2 different colors, which is white and black, and it has 2 variants, which is the 240 and 360. Before I talk about the accessories, take a look at the packaging. The pump and the radiator is covered with plastic and they are protected with thick foam. Not only this, take a look at the package on the fans. All very detailed packaging. Impressive. These are the accessories that's packed in this box. You'll be provided with an instruction guide whereby it shows you how to mount in an Intel or AMD platform, inclusive of the quantity of the accessories, which you see over here. As mentioned to you earlier, 3 nicely packed fans which I'm using in 360 variant. I will talk about these fans later. 3 tube holder whereby you hold your tube in place when you place this in your system. A bag of brackets for AMD and for Intel. A tube of thermal paste. This small container contains all the spacer which is necessary, the retention bolt, the fastening screws, and the standoff for your Intel. A bag of short screws. This is meant for you to mount your radiator to your case fan tray. A bag of long screw for you to mount your fan to your radiator. This is the 1700 bracket. And 2 of these are the back plate, which is meant for Intel platform. One which is for the 1700 bracket, and this is for the 1200 bracket. And it does support 11.5x. The measurement of the radiator from here to here is 397mm. And the width from here to here is 120mm. As for the thickness, this is at 27mm. If you were to include the fans, which is 25, total will give you 52mm. The structure of the whole radiator, in fact, is made of aluminium, where you have a subtle logo space on each side. See, nicely done. And the fin stack, though is aluminium, but is coated with white. Now on the hose itself, as the package is fantastic, even the hose they have packed this in. So I believe when they did the manufacturing, right, they have placed this first before they house the butts over here. And this is nicely sleeves, as you can see. And this whole hose length is 450mm in length. From here, from this point here to this point. Now on the pump, it has a 2.1-inch LCD display and has a pixel resolution of 480 by 480. And the measurement of this pump, be it from the top to the bottom, from the left to the right, is at 76mm. And the thickness of this pump from the top to the cold plate is at 58mm. And the locking mechanism, in fact, is 2 points, which some might like or some will dislike. Now at the end, you are provided with all these connection points, total of 3, whereby you have this, the pump header, which is 4-pin PWM. This is the USB connector where you connect to your motherboard, whereby you make use of the in-house application to control the LCD display. And last but not least, an 3-pin 5V ARGB connector, which is meant for the ARGB at the rim of the pump. There are a total of 3 fans as mentioned, nicely packed. I've unpacked one, and this is how the package looks like. Now these are all the ID Cooling AF127 ARGB fans, and the impression when I unpack it, it's very sturdy. See, it doesn't flex, and it has 4 rubber grommets at each side, be it the front or the back. This is a 7-blader. And as for the fan spec, it is a 12 DC fan which draw a amperage of 0.25 ampere, and the RPM minimum at 500, max at 2000. Now, speaking about this fan, right, this has 2 connector which is able to daisy chain. This is the 4-pin PWM fan connector where you can daisy chain to another fan, and this is the ARGB connector, whereby this fan has a very unique design on ARGB, which I'll show you later. Probably you can see here, see, throughout all the sides, and also at the intake area where this whole rim, right, is ARGB. Preparation of the fan to the radiator is pretty straightforward. All is needed is just to make use of the long screw and to screw it down your fans. See, it's pretty easy. Now, this is the part whereby it's kind of messy. You probably will need to do some cable management. I'll start off with the 4-pin PWM connectors where you have the daisy chain mechanism. So you go from one fan to another fan, and you do the same to another. And on this end, you're supposed to connect to your motherboard. And you do not have to worry whereby your motherboard fan header will overload. As I mentioned, each fan is 0.25 ampere, so you total up right is 0.75. So with the fan header on your motherboard, even if it's supplying 1 ampere, not an issue. It's safe to plug and to provide power to these 3 fans. Next will be the ARGB connector. So you just need to daisy chain them from one point to another, which is pretty simple. Now, speaking about the connection point on the ARGB, these are the standard connection point whereby it can come off very easily. I would advise you when you connect this, right, probably use a duct tape or so to tape this so that this will not go loose. Now, once you have actually done this, again at this end, this is meant for you to connect to your motherboard and to make use of your motherboard utility, the ARGB Effects, to control the lightings. Or you can choose to plug this to a ARGB fan hub. Now, something which I dislike about this mechanism, as you can see, the cables here are so long. So I would advise you to do some cable management first before you mount to the case. Starting off with the AMD platform, whereby it allows you to mount your liquid AIO on the AM4 or AM5 platform. You will first need to prepare, unscrew all this over here, take out the original bracket. Next, in this small package over here, take the mounting screws out, total of 4, and the spacer, which is in red. And do take note on this spacer itself, whereby it does show you the word AMD, as you can see. And this is pretty unique, whereby one end is with a smaller hole, the other end with a bigger hole. The bigger hole you have to mount on the board itself, having the small hole facing towards you. Once you've done this, next thing is to prepare the bracket. And in this package, take out the AMD bracket. And I figure it out. I wish that ID Cooling have done some marking showing that, pointing towards the processor, but there are no markings on it. Probably they will improve on this. So to mount this, right, you will have to put it this way, inwards. so that when you mount your AIO, right, you will screw to these two screw threads and make sure that the screw thread is facing upwards. If you were to do the other way around, which is this way, then it's going to be wrong. Reason being, right, if you do it this way, you can't mount your AIO and to thread on these two screw thread. So take note of this. So once you have positioned everything properly, next thing you will need to do is to mount this bracket to the motherboard. So take those 4 mounting screws which I showed you earlier, place this in place, and to screw them on. Okay, let me just do one side first. This is done. So all is needed, hand tight. Do not over tighten it, just hand tight. Once you've done this right, you can clean off the IHS with alcohol, apply the thermal paste, okay, spread it. Once you've done this right, then on the pump itself, make sure you remove off this sticker over here that is exposing the cold plate. Then from there, place into position whereby this and this will be threading to here. So this is how it works. For Intel platform, it allows you to mount your AIO in a 3rd gen Intel processor all the way to 14th gen processor. Now, for this illustration, I'll be using a 13th gen processor from Intel. And first thing you need to prepare is the back plate. Now, this back plate at the back, there will be an indication of 17XX, which is meant for your 1700 socket. So first thing you need to do, flip the motherboard. Once you have done that, at the back of the motherboard you have 4 holes over here. Align this 4 screw threads, which is facing below, having the wording facing upwards, and this wording make sure that it's facing towards the VRM casing at the side. So mount this in. Once it's done, turn it over. Just gotta be careful. Next step, in this package itself, take out the retention board, and right below the retention board there are 4 rubber spacer. You will need to fit this rubber spacer first to the 4 threads of the back plate. Make sure they are pushed in all the way. Once that's done, right, again from the package, as you can see, this is in gray and the AMD is in red. Get the spacer which is meant for the 1700 socket, which is this, in black, and they have labeling on the spacer which says 1700 or 17XX. Once it's done, plug this again, the bigger hole facing towards the motherboard and the smaller hole facing towards you. Place this in. Now you might find that it's very tedious. You have to put the rubber spacer and followed by this. Well, this is to ensure secure fitment so that the back plate will hold in place nice and snug and sturdy. Next will be the brackets for 1700, which is labeled specifically on this package. Now to mount this, right, as you can see, this is protruding out. Make sure this is towards this way. Meaning to say, the bracket, right, protruding out is towards the processor. Same goes to here. Again, if you were to flip this over, right, having the wrong orientation, right, you will not be able to mount your AIO on the bracket over here. And do take note that make sure that the screw threads on this both end, right, is facing towards you. Once that's done, make use of this retention board screw them to the backplate screws so that you will hold the bracket. This is done. Make sure that it's just hand tighten. Don't over tighten it. So once this is done, right, in fact you don't need the screwdriver to tighten it, you just hand tighten. Make sure that they're cramped in place. Once it's done, clean the processor. I don't have a processor right now, but clean the processor with alcohol. Then apply thermal paste, which is provided. Once that's done, right, again on the pump, remember to take out this plastic cover. Then you can mount in place, and to fasten the two side, which is this screw over here and this screw over here, to the two threads over here, and this will be done. Before I talk about the ARGB effects and the LCD functions, something which I've forgotten to mention, which is on the pump, the holes that is located over here, these are swivelable, so it's pretty flexible. You can just swivel in place. Next will be the fans. These are all fluid dynamic bearing fans. Now as for the noise itself, right now I have my pump on and my fans at idle. This is my microphone. I'm going to place it here. Now, not to worry, the fan is not going to blow air to my microphone. In fact, it's blowing to that direction. So with this say, right, this is at idle. I am going to run the Cinebench, and you can hear how noisy it is. Now I've stopped Cinebench, back to idle. Now as for the pump noise, the pump is always at full. I'm going to unplug the fans. And this is how it sounds like with the pump away from the microphone, about 40 cm. And if I were to bring it closer, see, this is how it sounds like. I've turned off the light so that you can see the ARGB effects clearly. Now on the LCD itself, right, before the program is loaded, you will see wording like this. This is your world, be creative. Later I'll show you the LCD panel. Right now I'm just going to show you the ARGB on the fans itself. So this is how it looks like. And I've taken one just to show you. See, it glows on the ring of one side, and on the frame side it does not have any glow. And on all sides, see, it glows. So you can switch the effect. This is rainbow, see, or you have fancy patterns, right, you can just do this. As for the pump area, besides the LCD that is doing the effects, you can see that the rim of the pump, it has ARGB effect, and again you can control the ARGB effect. See, now I'm going to take you to the dashboard. This is the application from ID Cooling, and it's a very easy interface. Let me guide you through. Starting on my top right, these are all the stats which will show in this dashboard, but you will not show all this, right, to the LCD panel. It will give you the stats of your CPU, your GPU, the speed of your fans, and below here are the specification of what you're using, as in like your processor, your graphic card, and so forth. Now, in order to map the RPM, okay, this you will need to map, as in like it will bring you to this interface. So this is where it tells you where you're going to draw your temperature from. I mean, as in your CPU temperature, then followed by your CPU voltage and such, and what graphic card you use. As you can see here, I have two. One is the iGPU, or should I say APU, and the other one is my discrete graphic card. Of course, I'll be choosing my discrete graphic card. Then from here, you derive what are the fans that you have arranged, like your palm, your radiator fans and such. So you have to declare over here. Coming to this interface on my left, this is the LCD panel which you see over here, then followed by all this, right? Okay, what does data means? If you were to load any of this theme over here, which are all preset properly for you when you run, say this is what's going to show. If you're going to turn off this, right, when you stop this and turn off this, and when you run, you will be a blank. So take note on this. I'm going to turn it back on. So as mentioned to you, all this preset you can select. The thing is that it's easy to use. This is meant for CPU temperature and GPU temperature, then followed by your RAMs and such. See, it will show over here your CPU, what RPM and such. So if you were to run this, right, you will be showing on the LCD in a moment. See, so it will tell you the palm, the radiator fans and such. Then if you do not want to, right, you have to stop this, click here on the next one, which tell you the CPU RPM if you choose to run this. See, it's simultaneously reacts upon what you have declared on the application. You will show on the screen. So if you do not want all this, right, you just want a simple time, date and such, you need to stop it first, then click on this, which shows you the time and the date, and you will run. Now all these are presets, and you can't declare what kind of stats you want to place. That's the thing that is not very flexible in this program, but you'll be able to load animations, as in like GIF animation. Let's say for example I'm going to load this. See, you can position how it looks like on the dashboard, then you apply. Probably you set here, apply. See, so you just run. See, it will show you. Probably you can actually do this, then run it first. When you have this, right, stop it, go to customize, load the picture that you wanted, you apply. So when you apply, right, and run, the picture along with the stats will show. Customize the font color. Yeah, you can set it. Let me just see if I could set it blank. Oops. And you run. Yep, it does change the colors. So this is actually how you play with this. It's a very straightforward application, not so complicated. But of course, again, let me just share with you something. Okay, if you do not want this, you can just delete off by clicking on the X sign at the bottom. So let's say, for example, you want to have stats on your time and date, which is this. Where's my time and date? Okay, over here. So once you have this, right, you run it first. Then if you want to place your own pictures, stop it, click on custom, then click on the GIF that you wanted. Okay, probably I will say this, apply, and the time and your GIF will appear when you run. This will take some time. See, it does show, and as you can see, right, it's animated. How does the idle cooling space SL360 fare? Well, I've tested both on Intel and AMD platform. Before I explain the methodology of how I conduct the test, I noticed something about the AIO pump and the radiator fans. Based on the fact when I do the run, be it Intel or AMD, okay, let me just show you. Say if I were to let it run, right, take a look at the AIO itself. The pump is running at 2000 2200 RPM, not 2500 RPM, which is stated on the specification on their website and even on the box. And as for the fan, right, it's not running at 2000. In fact, it's running more than that. It's 2200. So I believe there's a error on the specification on the web page and on their box. Similar to when I test on the AMD platform. Okay, if I was to run, take a look. The pump is still at 2200 RPM, plus minus. And the radial fans is at 2200 RPM instead of 2000. Now, back to where I was talking about the methodology. How I conduct the test is pretty simple, using application with the Cinebench R23 and hardware info. And this is River Tuner to show you the stats. Now, I've done a set on the Intel on the configuration, setting the XMP profile on, which is on my DDR5 RAMs, followed by the PL1 and PL2, which is set at a max power limit at 253 watts, and having a V-core offset of 0.05 volt. And of course, this is tested on an Intel 13700K. So, starting off, how I did is, when I mount the AIO on the processor, I let it run in Cinebench for 30 minutes. Then I let it cool down for 5 minutes. Then I'll conduct the 10 minutes throttle test, and that is the recording. As you can see here, right, this is the beginning of the thread, or should I say the beginning before I start at idle, which is 37. Pretty good temperature for Intel. Look at the time on the hardware info. So exactly at about 35 minutes or so, I will start to run the test. See, I'm running. And let me just pull to the last 4 minutes to talk about the results. Okay, probably around here. Now, as I run, right, I notice something that the temperature never goes up 90 degrees Celsius. It's always hovering 84 to 85. And the max that it goes is 86 degrees Celsius. And you'll be thinking that, hey, no big deal. This is running at 4.981 megahertz. You're wrong. This is the average clock speed. If you were to look at the actual run, right, see, it's 5.3 on the P course. And the temperature over here is hovering very well. And not only this, the RPM, as you can see on the AIO pump and the CPU, the most amazing thing is that the pump is running at a speed of 2200 RPM, and it can sustain at this temperature, which is quite good. And for the fans that's running at 2200 RPM, which is pushing air through, and you have heard the noise, it's not noisy. And with this say, right, besides the CPU temperature that's hovering around 84 to 85 degrees, max to 86, look at the motherboard temperature is 38 degrees Celsius. The VRMs, 52. Yeah, slightly above 50, but still alright, manageable. And looking at the RAM slot 1 and slot 2, see, it's below 50 degrees Celsius. And my M.2 is also below 50 degrees Celsius, which is good, it's consistent. And of course, the amount of cooling that you can provide, right, it will pull much more voltage. As you can see here, right, the power package is drawing at a max of 220 watt off from 253, which is pretty good. Now, moving on to the AMD side. Okay, this is the AMD. Starting off with the idle. It's pretty good too. It's at 48 degrees Celsius. And the settings on this 7950X, which I tested on the AMD platform, I have my DDRM Expo profile on with all the settings with the PPT 185 watt, TDC 145 ampere, and EDC at 160 ampere, having a curve mode optimizer of -15 and a V-core offset of 0.05 volt. As mentioned to you, the idle is pretty good. And do bear this in mind, I've conducted a 30 minutes test right after I mount the AIO on this AMD platform. As you can witness over here, see, 35 minutes. In fact, it's 30 minutes the long run, then idle for 5 minutes, then I conduct the actual run. And this is the actual run that I've conducted. As you can see, it's running. So I will again pull to the last 4 minutes or so. Okay, around here. Take a look at the temperature. Again showing the same sign, which is 84 to 85 degrees Celsius. which both Intel and AMD, right, given their actual, I should say, actual specs, having a TDP on Intel, which is at 255 watt, and for AMD, right, for this 7950X, right, is 170 watt, which you can see here, see, which is along the lines as the max power drawn, or should I say the default power drawn based on the paper specs. And when you look at it, right, this is even better. For AMD, right, it's running at 5.1 gigahertz and above. As you can see over here, see all the clock, all the cores is pretty consistent. And not only this, when I mentioned about the temperature, right, what still amazed me is about the pump and the fan. Take a look at the pump, which is at 2200 RPM plus minus, and the rate fans is running at 2200 RPM, which is kind of amazing to actually have this temperature. And looking at the temperature on the motherboard, yes, AMD does run hotter on the motherboard side because I'm using a M-ATX board, not a full ATX as compared to Intel. I'm using an ATX, though it's around this temperature higher than Intel, right? But it's still manageable because it's not above 50 degrees Celsius. And same goes to the RAMs. See, even the M.2s, and consistently you're having this. So what tells me about this liquid cooler is it does perform, but I would say that try not to overclock. Probably undervolt, it will yield even better result. When I did the unboxing of this unit, which is the ID Cooling Space SL360, I am very impressed with their packaging. With their hose, as you can see, is nicely protected, inclusive of the accessory package. All are with details, and the fans inclusive. They have even packed the fan. That's amazing. And when I feel the whole unit is very well constructed, nothing is being chipped out, which I don't feel any. In fact, I do feel premium with some of the quality they have actually produced, things like the sleeving, the design of the pump. In fact, what catch my attention is the pump design, which is round and with these cutouts. And to be honest, I prefer the black version more than the white, but it both do look elegant, depends on individual. And next of all, the performance of this liquid AIO, in fact, I feel that yes, it's good, but not really that great if you want to overclock. But you are using it as default with the baseline power drawn and such on both Intel and AMD platform. Yes, this is the liquid AIO you can choose to run on high-end products. Next thing is actually the noise itself. As I'm talking to you right now, the fans are spinning. It's just a silent hum, very smoothing. Even at high RPM, right, when I run the Cinebench, it's also, it did pick up some noise, but not to the extent of having sharp pitch and such. It's a very pleasant listening pleasure, as in like it just hums. Next part will be the ARGB. As you can see, it's something very unique where you don't get to, most of the fans out there, right, they have the blade that is doing all the ARGB effects, which I find that is overdosed with ARGB. The elegance of all this strip ARGB and inclusive of the pump, see, all this are nicely done. Now on the downside of this liquid AIO, first off, the cable. Okay, if you intend to purchase this, right, probably you need to hide this cable at the back area where it shows the nice sight over at the other end. So this is one. They should actually improve on shortening the cables and to do daisy chain instead of having a long cable and you have to deal with all the cable mess. Next will be the LCD itself. Now for the LCD, right, it's simple, easy to use, but I hope that ID Cooling can actually improve on their stats, as in like pull and put as we wanted. Like you want a CPU stat, you want the fan stat and such, and not just every preset. There's a limitation to it. Then besides this, right, probably further enhancement, besides putting the animated GIF, you can put videos, things like that. Now, apart from everything, to me this unit is pretty good, but the question on how durable it is, that is a question. So for those of you who actually use this Liquid AIO for a period of time, probably you can leave your comment, and you will be very useful for my viewers, as they will know whether to purchase or not to purchase this unit, because durability is still one of the priority in most Liquid AIO. And for those of you who actually want to purchase this unit, right, in fact, if you're right here in Singapore, you can just scan the QR code at my top right hand corner and it will take you directly to the online shop, which is Tech Dynamic. They offer 240 and 360 variant. Now with this said, I'd like to thank Tech Dynamic to have provided this loan unit to me and to share with you. And for those of you actually new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.